Welcome to Book Club for Movies, everybody, for the week of October 21st. I'm Ryan Miller, and now you know what lives in the dark, Matt Amberg.
I do. The blinds are down, my door is shut, it's crappy out.
Oh, you live in the dark.
I live in the dark. I'm a dark living liker.
Do you live in Dark City?
That's a great movie, man.
It is so good. On Book Club for Movies this week, where we watch one movie a week. Hopefully you do too, and then you can send us your thoughts, dreams, and desires, and we'll share, talk about, and or mock them. We won't mock. We think you're the best people in the world whenever we get an email. Or Twitter, Facebook thing. This week, you can do that about dog soldiers if you want.
You could.
You could also do a synopsis if you want.
You could. I could.
I couldn't. No, this is a you thing.
Is it? All right. Well, let's try it.
There's no way.
Let's see what I can do with it. All right.
Okay.
Dog Soldiers, hour and 40 minutes, written by Neil Marshall, directed by Neil Marshall also, and directed by Neil Marshall. Two different guys.
What?
It's a team. Yeah. Like
Whoa.
Lord Miller, you got Marshall and Marshall. Yeah. Same guys.
Liller?
Starring Sean Pertwee, Emma Cleesby, Kevin McKidd, and Liam Cunningham. Here is your Book Club for Movies synopsis for Dog Soldiers. During a military exercise, a group of soldiers are stranded in a jungle and surrounded by werewolves intent on having them for dinner.
That's about all it takes. Dog soldiers.
That's right in the title. I mean, you kind of, you probably know what you're getting into.
Well, dog soldiers could be any number of things, really. In fact, I didn't clue in that it was a werewolf movie for a minute.
I was going to say, like, half an hour in, you see them for the first time. Like, it's pretty fast about getting them out there.
No, not to the movie, to just the title. Like, I think I figured out, okay, Emergency didn't have the movie ready to watch at like 10 p.m. last night. So this thing almost didn't happen. And then I saw it was on Amazon, or it's free for Prime, I guess, is what it was. So lucked out on that one.
Yay!
But I think at about that moment when I saw the actual poster art, was I like, oh, this is it's a werewolf thing, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So still very late in the game.
Fair enough.
You, however, knew far well in advance, it seems, especially around this time of the year. What's your experience with this one? How did you come about it even?
Just a movie that came out when I think I was working at the video store, and it came out and just watched it and went, oh, that's a rad movie.
2002.
So I wasn't at the video store. I don't know where I was. So like, I know I saw it. I didn't see it in the theater.
I mean, the movie came out in 2002, so maybe it came to the video store after that.
Well, I worked at the video store prior to that, so
you're right. This is a real mystery.
I have no idea where or when I saw it. I mean, I know I got it from the video store at some point. That's my best guess. But
my guess was that you worked your way backwards after seeing The Descent.
No, I saw this prior to The Descent.
Okay. See, I'm wrong. Unless I edit that out.
So I saw this movie right after I think I saw Ravenous for the first time, maybe, which came out about 2 years prior.
Don't think I'm familiar with that. Is that another? Actually, you know what? I want to say Amazon fed that to me after I watched this. It was like, you might also this movie.
It's real good. Ravenous.
Also, werewolf?
No, not at all. Totally different movie, totally different thing. It takes place at like in the 19th century at a fort, like a Civil War fortress type thing. And
you do a synopsis for it real quick?
I did. But you know what? That may very well be our movie for next week.
Oh yeah, that's okay.
Totally. Look, Guy Pearce.
All you had to do was lead with that.
Yeah, no. Well, he is actually the lead of the movie. No, here the cast is pretty great.
So this or Time Machine then?
It's Guy Pearce, Robert Carlyle, David Arquette, Jeffrey Jones, Neil McDonough.
Oh, so it's kind of the opposite of this cast.
Correct.
In that I recognize all of those names.
Correct.
I recognized when I saw him on screen. I still couldn't tell you his name. Sarge. I recognized that actor.
It was either Sean Pertwee or Liam Cunningham.
That sounds familiar. I think, I'm going to go with that.
And I think it was Sean Pertwee.
And I love that we did this movie after The Fog, because in a lot of ways, this is on the other end of the spectrum. The Fog, if you remember, we talked about it, looks gorgeous. One of the most gorgeous films I've ever seen. And then maybe not a ton happens actually in the thing. With Dog Soldiers, this looks and sounds, music being one of the other things I liked about The Fog, Dog Soldiers looks and sounds like a TV movie. And it is low budget. That might be a better descriptor, except just the way it's directed and the way the music is used, like the very familiar music cues, very up close cinematography, which solves a lot of low budget problems sometimes anyway, but you also see it a ton in TV. So it's just what I think of when it's something is shot like that.
Sure.
But it has a ton of action after the first half.
You get picked into it. It's about the almost nearly right on the 30-minute mark is when things start actually picking up. Like they're landed, they're in the jungle. At that point is where they found Liam Cunningham's character. I can't remember his name right now. But at that point they're moving, they're carrying him and trying to get out of the jungle.
Is that the main dude, Cooper?
No. Liam Cunningham's character he was the guy at the very beginning of the movie. Our hero, he is being hunted by a bunch of different that's
Cooper.
Guys. Yeah,
I think his name's Cooper.
The guy who told him to kill the dog. The head of the special ops team.
Bad special ops team.
Yeah,
gotcha.
when he gets picked up, which is almost nearly right away, or like right at the half an hour mark, that's where the movie starts, like the action starts going. It's
the end of the first act, yeah. And the other thing I'll say about this, the theme I notice is that, okay, let's go back to The Mist, actually. When we talked about The Mist, we talked about how the pacing, I love the pacing on that thing. It was like right when you thought it was going to pad out the film with any number of horror movie tropes or things, like they're going to go back to the warehouse and the tentacle's going to be gone and he's going to have to convince people that it exists the whole time. But
right.
It wasn't. It was there. And, right when things get to a point where they can't go any farther, the bugs show up. So The Mist, very well paced. Here, they very much languish with some of those tropes. Like I could just see I could see Neil Marshall, obviously, since he's the one who did this, sitting down somewhere at some point. And a lot of times you do this with is this his first movie?
Yes. Well, his first wide release movie.
Early effort, because you can make up the difference in other areas, which I think he does in this film. The story is very much depends on selective listening and selective understanding to kind of complete those horror movie tropes. The most glaring one I'm talking about is how they pick up the special forces guy at some point. So it's two different teams and they're in a training exercise against each other. One of them is led by kind of evil special forces guy who wants a guy to kill a dog and he refuses. So he goes to a different team that is with Sarge, the guy I recognize, who's actually a pretty good dude. And it's the whole beginning of the movie, the first 30 minutes, when I say it doesn't move slowly, but it's honestly just a lot of talking. There's not a lot of action. It's just getting to know the characters.
Yep.
And at one point they find the evil special ops guy and his whole team has been taken out. He's the only one left. He's got a huge wound on himself. And he just keeps saying the words, there was only supposed to be one of them, and et cetera, et cetera. He obviously knows more than anybody else in the movie.
Right.
And everybody else in the movie fails to really question and dig into him about that. Or they remove those scenes from the film. I don't know. At some point he mentions how he wouldn't be, because he's a soldier, he wouldn't be able to tell them if he wanted to. I think they could have had more of that up front, because otherwise it just looks like they don't ever ask him what's going on enough. And I'm like, why wouldn't you? Actually, you know what? It gets worse than that at one point, because at one point they run into a girl who helps them, but then tries to tell Cooper, who's now in charge of the... I'm moving pretty quick on this thing.
For the length of the movie, it's a very quick movie to get. The movie turns into
actually longer. It's would you say hour 45, something like that?
The movie is essentially after the middle of the second act, the movie becomes a siege movie.
True, yeah. And that was actually my favorite part of the movie too.
That's the best part of the movie.
But there was also another point where she tries to tell Cooper, who's now in charge of the thing, because Sarge has maintained an injury, that she starts to tell him about the werewolves, and he says, Oh no, she calls them werewolves and he doesn't believe her, even though we've seen him see the werewolves already.
Yeah, that was one of those.
He says something like, "What are we dealing with? Wolves here?" And I'm like, "Yeah, wolves that can stand up as tall as a man? Come on, dude. Like you've seen them already." And then she's like, "No, like or I forget what she says, but then he's like, "Oh, you expect me to believe
they're
that?"
not fully wolf, not fully man."
Yes,
and that's when the one guy goes, "Man wolf." It's like you didn't say wolf man. He says man wolf.
But it's like I said, I can see Neil Marshall sitting down, kind of having an outline, and this happens at this point in the film. The other thing that happens is at the halfway point, that bad special ops guy that they found, then obviously they figure out that he's turning into a werewolf because he's healed unnaturally fast and all this stuff. So there was just a lot of like, this should happen here, and what they did to get there wasn't really well masked.
Sure.
I guess I would say.
It's I mean, in relative terms, this is very by the numbers.
Yes, I think maybe that's what I'm going.
You know, it hits every trope that you kind of expect for a movie like this, and I agree with you that there are definitely moments that I don't think it drags personally. I think the first act, I get why it works for me because it's quick. You know, I realize that 30 minutes can definitely seem like a slog to a lot of people, but for me, you get the intro to the guy right away, which I think is a really good introduction. The fact that he won't kill the dog, and I like it. You get the immediate.
Yeah, that is. No, I'm into that.
I like the touchdown where we meet Sarge, we meet everybody else. That was fine. I don't think the movie really moves that slow, but I do agree that some of those tropes are languished upon, and I think that Neil Marshall does a pretty good job of using the tropes fine, but moving past them and getting on with things eventually. Like eventually it's not the right word, but he uses those tropes, I think, well, and when he is finished with like that portion of it, it kind of stands out a little bit to me. I don't know.
No. I really like the second half of the film a lot. I do think that the first act is a little slow, and I'm guessing he probably wants to build, right? Like there are horror movies that are slow burns, and there's a reason that
really
exists
good ones
in the genre. Yeah, like there's a ton that you can think of off the top of your head. I don't know if he succeeds with that in this first. Like it's honestly just a lot of soldiers talking to each other and sharing stories around a campfire. And yes, they scared me when the dog falls out of the tree or whatever for whatever reason. But for the most part, it was kind of like, well, I know that the werewolves can't appear until after the first act. So I don't know, characters.
Fair enough.
It's not bad. It's just once things popped off at the halfway mark, I got into the movie.
Sure. Yeah, Neil Marshall to me is a director that when he gets to the point, like he's pretty good. The Descent is a really interesting comparison to this. It was the movie he made after it.
The one I hear the most about.
And probably the one you'll always hear the most about from him, because it is a masterpiece in terms of claustrophobia and working with the dark and working in an environment that you just are not used to seeing. And I mean, the whole movie is about some cave divers. I don't know splunkers, I guess. Spelunking. But that movie is actually kind of a slow movie. Like, it's a lot of building up the relationships between the women and then slowly going through. And but with The Descent, I think what really helps those slow beginning is that when they get into the cave, and it's right away, like there's not a ton of, the first act is not like a bunch of talking. The first act is them meeting them and them going into the cave. The cave adds something so much to that because it's claustrophobic. They're not necessarily right next to each other in all the cases. So things are going to happen. You just don't know what and when. Dog Soldiers, it's not a slow burn. Yeah, I understand
why. Do you think that maybe that's what he was going for?
I don't think so. I think that he was looking at a very traditional 3-act structure, and for him the beginning of that act the beginning of the movie, that first act is, let's meet everybody so that I can kill them all later on.
Okay.
I mean, I get it. It's you're not wrong at all.
Stuff like that is where I feel like people's mileage will vary the most anyways. Like, you're going to get into those characters, you're going to like those characters, you're going to like their characterization, or you're just going to yawn a little bit. I don't know. I was thrown off from the start by the direction a little bit. When I say made for TV, I don't mean to be reductive, but you know what I'm talking about. Kind of like, there is a way of filmmaking that's come into vogue with the proliferation of good cameras and good dollies and cheap ones at that. Like, I've got a great dolly that I could recreate half of the shots in this film and nobody would ever know the difference. And it cost, like orders of magnitude less than the stuff people normally use.
Sure.
And with the arrival of those things, there's this shot that I see all over the place that will immediately get under my skin. And it's the slow pan that stays on the subject. And then sometimes it's either back or forth. Sometimes you'll even get to the end and start moving back. I'm like, come on, man. Like, it's the easiest shot to recreate with this new equipment. And anytime I see it, I'm like, ugh, like, it just immediately grates. And the movie started with some of those, and then you never saw him again. Like, I think he began with some almost directing tropes, well worn and easy, like stuff that he got rid of as soon as he got into the feel of it. Or I don't know. This thing was edited by him too, I believe, wasn't it?
I actually don't know.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. So that might have had something to do with it, but the rest of the movie does it favors. Like, I can look back on that first half and be like, oh, okay, like, I appreciate it more given what he did with it.
Right, sure.
I think he did pay it off. It's just that also in the moment and when compared to the last half, it's just not my favorite part.
Sure.
I think I've said in the shortest amount of time everything I've had to say about a film. Really, no, it's good. I like it.
It's a fun movie. Like,
is.
It's not the best movie in the world. It's got some pretty good gore effects. I do love when
it's very gory.
When Sarge gets cut in half and his guts are out, and he's like, "My guts are out. I'm gone. Leave me alone." He's like, "If your guts are out, we'll just put them back in." And they're stuffing him back in. And I love that he just like cruises along. He's fine. I mean, I know it's possible.
And that's good because you see him. Because Sarge is then also turned into a werewolf at that point, and it then begins to heal. So going from that to where he is later, you're like, oh, like it's kind of makes sense. And again, it's paid off really well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I will say one of the things that always bugged me about this movie is that so they make their way down and they see the car coming, so they meet the woman already knows what's going on, get in the car, they finally get in the car, they get out, they get to the farmhouse, and they lock themselves in. Right away, they one of them finds like a giant sword, starts swinging it around.
Right.
They use it like one time to chop off an arm. Why are you not using that when the guns are clearly not doing a ton? You're shooting at them, they're running away. Okay, you chopped one's arm off. That arm's not going to help it anymore. Keep going with that. The other one that bugged me is it takes them so long to figure out, oh, why don't we use fire? They have fur. Burn them.
And I think those are both emblematic of what I'm talking about, is that they have a very... It's prolonged unnecessarily, I guess, if they would have come up with a better solution. But it's just, it's part and parcel with the whole, why don't they just ask the guy what's going on?
Right.
Like, the girl obviously knows more than she's letting on also. And there's little hints, like there at one point during the movie, she's like, oh, when I found you guys. And then the bad spec ops guy is like, oh, I thought we found you. And then it's just silent. Like, nobody digs into that after that. It's just left.
It's just
and they keep going about something else. I'm like, figure out what's going on, man. Like, it's not one of those horror things where they're like, like, don't go into the garage or something. Like, it's not one of those, because that can be done in the genre too. It's just don't bring it up if you're not going to do it justice,
right.
Or have the wolves attack at that moment, and then you can't continue talking about it. I mean, that's well worn, but I would have liked that better than just they all decided to change the subject to something less important.
We can change the subject right now if you want.
I still give it 20 stars. If that's where you're going.
Out of 24, that's not too bad.
Yep. No, it's not.
That's not too
Check
bad.
it out. Watch it.
Fun movie, Dog Soldiers.
If you like the guts.
I think that's it. So why don't we just do the rest of the show then?
Yeah, I'm excited about the rest of the show. There have been developments, Matt.
Okay, tell me.
Do you have? What do you have?
Well,
Do you have?
I have. I did watch this movie this week. We watched this movie called Eli.
Okay.
It's a Netflix original little ghost story horror film. It's look, okay. When I see Lily Taylor, I'm just gonna watch the movie. I don't really care what it is.
Taylor.
Yeah, I love Lily Taylor. She is always good. She's a genre actress. She's been in just 1,000 things. You might remember her best from either The Haunting or High Fidelity. She was one of the girlfriends in High Fidelity. She was the main character in the remake of The Haunting with Owen Wilson and Catherine Zeta-Jones and
I think
Liam Neeson.
I feel like I'm remembering her from X-Files.
Oh yeah, I think she was actually on an episode of
Did she
X-Files.
play a deaf girl on X-Files?
I don't remember. I'm not I didn't watch a ton of X-Files. We've had that conversation.
Yep, that's totally her.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I love her. She's fantastic in all the things she does. So I checked this movie out with the wife, and it also actually has the guy who was like the best character in Pacific Rim, the Australian, like the father of the Australian dude that's
sure.
that gets his leg broken and can't be in the mech. Anyways, this movie Eli, it also has Sadie Sink in it, who is in Stranger Things. She is Max in Stranger Things.
Oh, okay. Huh. Is this after Stranger Things? This is what she did?
Yeah, this
with
is
her newfound power?
This is definitely it. Yeah. The movie was pretty okay. It's certainly not the greatest thing in the world. The movie plays on a couple of things that are very difficult in film in general, and it hits occasionally and it misses a whole lot. And that is with kid actors. And
sure.
I love this because Beth and I hadn't talked about this, and I'm so excited to mention this to you.
Okay.
So we talked about how with Stranger Things, I told you that I think that Sadie Sink is kind of like
We're into her.
She's not great. She's just not. And I think that in particular in that show, it's like there are orders of magnitude, and I think the one like. I think that Will has, like, he is a two-face. I mentioned this too, that he has these moments that are outrageously great, and then he has these moments of, he is a terrible actor. Like, what are you doing? As soon as this movie ended, Beth and I talked about it. She was like, yeah, she's not a good actor, and she's actually part of the reason I haven't wanted to finish Stranger Things. Beth doesn't like her to the point where she actually, like, she feels that Stranger Things...
Beth said that to you?
Yeah, she feels Stranger Things is a slog because of her.
Oh, interesting.
That character, and I can't disagree, she is not a great character to me. I like the concept, I have no issue there. She is not good at it. And she has moments in this movie, again, and what Beth actually mentioned, and I agree, is that she is like... so many actors that are big name actors where she's the same character every time. She has the same reaction, the same delivery, the same, like, if you didn't know she was not in Stranger Things for this movie, like, you would think it's Stranger Things. Exact same character. The movie kind of revolves around this family, and their son, they're outside one day and their son suddenly starts getting like hives and can't breathe, and it becomes a boy in the plastic bubble thing where they have to keep him in the most clean places they can. They've got things all locked up in the house, taped up. He has to wear like a hazmat suit to go outside because like any air just starts flare ups. So dad finds a doctor that can help cure this, and she explains why, and that's Lily Taylor. So they go up to this big house that's like this giant, it was like a giant, I don't know, it is a giant house, giant
haunted
mansion
house
type thing.
She's like, why do I have to keep staying in these things?
Right. She's like, first it was with Owen Wilson, now it's with you idiots. So she says that, you know, that they've had other patients and they've been cured and whatnot, and so it thus begins the procedures begin. It's a 3-part procedure thing, and it's going to be, she tells them it's going to be hard and it's going to get worse before it gets better. And then the kid starts seeing ghosts everywhere, and then he meets Sadie Sink's character, but he can't go outside still. So she meets him like there's a greenhouse, and somehow they meet each other there.
Where is this all going?
I'm telling you. So I'm going to get into the spoilers here right about now, actually.
Okay.
So the movie becomes the parents were really like, they play bad. They're not great. They're just it's a lot of stuff in this movie that just kind of like
it's getting worse the more you talk about it. It
ebbs and flows, but it does kind of get to a point that's super fun, and so jumping kind of into the spoiler bit, the kid realizes something is wrong. Max from Stranger Things tells him something is wrong. She doesn't know what, but she says there were 2 other kids here before you, and after the 3rd procedure, she never saw them. So the kid tries to tell the parents, oh my gosh, she's so weird, the doctor's going to kill me. The parents, of course, do the, nuh-uh. The kid finally throws up his hands, figures out a way to get into this like locked area that was locked by a keypad, by the way. Very weird. Gets into the files, goes through and finds all the other kids died. And he gets put into this cell that's downstairs, and in the middle of this cell, there's like this circular well. Okay, and he's in there, and he looks around, and he finds a picture of Lily Taylor, and she's in this like nun garb with a whole bunch of other people. They're all in these habits, and they have this weird, like, it's not exactly a cross, it's like a double crossing, because they're gonna double cross.
It's a double cross. There's a double cross in the movie.
That's right. It's a double cross.
Interesting.
It becomes a triple cross into a quadruple cross.
You can't triple cross a double cross.
You can't triple cross a double cross, Lloyd. So he basically what he finds out is that they have been sacrificing these kids to save their souls because they are corrupted by the devil. We find out that mom made a deal with the devil to get pregnant, and the devil always lies. So, the end of this movie, we find out that yes, the boy is indeed the son of the devil, and the purpose of her going through the motions of the procedures is to prepare him to have his soul saved. One of the best parts in the movie is actually towards the end, where he like full on takes on the devil. Like, he's not the devil, but he's like the son of.
He's the son of the devil. Yeah.
And he makes the three. There's three nuns. He makes them all flip upside down and start spinning around the room with their arms, like crucified upside down. And he causes them to burst into flame while they're spinning around.
Are you okay?
And the dad, this is my favorite. The dad tries to kill the kid with the sacrificial dagger. The kid stops him and then just caves his whole face in. Like, the head goes inside. So the movie ultimately ends. The kid steps outside. His face starts getting super red, and then it just subsides. It goes away. His mother lives, even though she's terrified and scared and apologetic. And then we find out that Sadie Sink's character is his sister, also daughter of the devil. And the last lines of the movie are, "Do you want to meet your dad? I can take you to him." One of the last lines of the movie, which, by the way, ends with Sadie Sink looking at the mom and go, "Get in the car, drive." It was okay. For all the things that I'm making it sound bad, the movie actually was fairly entertaining. It actually was pretty
turned into one of your classic Damien stories. Who knew?
It definitely is not Damien.
What is his name? Actually, you probably already said it.
I don't remember it.
Is it like Damon?
Yeah, his name is Gabriel.
Gabriel.
No, I don't actually know what his name is.
It's biblical. You know it is. Okay, I think why I was confused is because I thought you were building up to like I feel like you were yourself exercising the movie from you by just recounting the plot.
Potentially.
Which ended up having so many twists and turns that the devil must have been involved. I don't know.
Definitely was.
So watch or don't watch Eli is what you're saying.
Yeah. Oh, wait, that's his name. His name is Eli.
Oh, Eli. Okay.
It was that good.
I'm glad neither of us are listening to each other.
Jeez, I'm glad
the movies I watched had some twists and turns too. Let me tell you. Did you have any others? I'm sorry. Am I moving too much?
Potentially. Did you see any movies this week that I may have also seen?
Absolutely not.
Okay, good.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, did I see The Joker yet? No, but this is going there.
Okay.
So, for a long time, since you so gratuitously flaunted your season pass to Alamo Draft House or whatever they call it. What's that thing?
Super great. Yeah, it's called a season pass.
Okay. I have toyed with the stupider version for idiots around my parts called the Regal Unlimited or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And since I knew the Joker was in the cards.
Whoa!
I hadn't been to a movie with my wife for a while, and the kids are getting older. We've been doing this thing lately where the girl watches the boy for a bit while they're asleep. So it's illegal. I'm pretty sure that's how it works out.
Makes sense.
So I was like, hey, do you want to try to do one of those? I haven't done one of those in a while. She's like, okay. Only thing in the theaters, because she doesn't want to see the Joker. I don't know. She's not into it.
Okay.
So in any event, I knew we were going to the movie. So I was like, well, I guess I better look into this pass because I'm probably halfway there anyways if I'm buying a $20 ticket to see one stupid movie. And, and the only one that we both could come to agreement on was Gemini Man. Will Smith.
Do you actually want to talk about that?
And Will Smith. I do. And for the greatest of reasons. So I go to the thing, or I looked it up and we decided, okay, fine, let's do the movie thing. It's $21 a month because my theater is only covered on the second tier. You have to look up where you're covered. So $21 a month, sure, whatever. The one ticket was going to be $13 anyways. And this was immediately followed by, it doesn't tell you until you're about to check out, and it's like, it's a year term. You can't cancel early.
Oh, that's dumb.
Yeah, which is how they get you, right? Like I would never go to the movie. I would sometimes go to the movies twice a month, but very rarely because it's just not in the cards with the time and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're going to make money on me because now they're forcing me to go to at least 2 movies a month. So I'm like, fine. Whatever. I still did it. I'm like, we'll do it for this first year. You know, I have to go see more movies. All right. I'll live. We'll see how this goes. I hate movie theaters. Did I mention? I like the experience, obviously, but just that whole business is offensive.
No, that's fair.
So
I mean,
reasons.
and again, I am
minus Alamo Draft House.
I was gonna say like that,
Yeah.
and that's for me because I truly do not enjoy going to AMC or Regal or any of those unless if it's the only place that's playing something or I'm somewhere that's that's the place, totally fine.
Yeah.
But if I have my druthers, yeah, I'm not doing that.
No, and obviously Alamo gets it right. Like they've figured out a way to break the model, from concessions to the movie-going experience. Yeah, no. But if I had an Alamo within 2 hours of me, I'd probably get the thing.
Probably be worth it, honestly, because
Yeah,
you're going to pay less in gas than you would for the movie tickets.
So I get the thing. We go to the movie. We sit down to watch it. And Gemini Man is perfectly fine. Like, you can watch those trailers. You know what you're going to get, and you will get that. Some of the action sequences are really good. Some of the set pieces, not just even the action sequences, are they're really fun to watch. For anybody who hasn't seen the trailer, it's not spoiling it to say that Will Smith is a government assassin, a very good one. He's a better Deadshot than he was in the movie that was horrible. So I guess whatever. And he has at one point been cloned by Clive Owen. So he goes up against himself. Yeah, Clive Owen.
I haven't seen him in a minute.
It's been a bit. He does a good job in this. He always does a good job. I like some Clive Owen.
Yeah.
So there are these instances where he comes up against himself. The previews show you the best that looks. Some of the de-aging. Some of it doesn't look great in the movie, in the final product here. But for the most part, is a pretty good effect and is pretty fun. Where the movie stumbles a little bit is where they try to get into some of the deeper aspects of that, right? Like who am I and who are you and
Sure.
and what are we and whatever. Also, Mary Elizabeth Winstead's in it.
Love her.
Yeah, you do, until she's criminally underutilized in this thing.
Which, I mean, I feel is probably every movie she's ever been in.
Probably. And then you still love her, but it's just disappointing, I guess.
Yep.
She should, honestly, I think I would have liked this movie more if she were in the lead, like if she played Will Smith's character.
If she were the Gemini dude?
Yeah, it's a Gemini woman.
Oh.
Then the twist happens when the credits hit and it says directed by Ong Lee.
Yep.
Maybe you knew that already.
I did.
I don't know.
I was aware, and I've heard nothing but not great about it.
Had no idea. Like, I mean, he did the Hulk too, I guess, but
he did a movie that had a character similar too.
I just never saw that coming. I'm like, whoa, that was just at the very end.
Like on the credits.
I just don't see any of him in it. It's weird. Maybe, and it's almost upsetting because those deeper parts do falter. I'm like, well, if anything, he probably should have nailed those, right? But I mean, it's not like he wrote the thing, I guess. So I don't know.
Hey, people need money.
Yeah. Tell me about it. If it comes out somewhere, watch it. Sure. Don't go to possibly a movie theater for it. Don't spend more money at a movie theater than you ever have in your entire life right before seeing it. Also, maybe. I don't know. I'm going to go see The Joker. They gave me a free small popcorn this week. So
Wait, how much money did you spend?
I could have. I love it when businesses do this also. You can monthly it, $21 even, or if you pay up front yearly, it's the same exact price.
Yes, it just gets it out of the way.
Whatever. We'll see. We also need to wait and see if we will be getting points, because Regal does the points thing where every time you spend $1, you get a certain amount of points, and you can spend those points on. We had usually been saving them for other movie tickets, because if you're spending those points on the concessions, you're still getting ripped off.
Of course.
Like no matter what. So we may have got ourselves into a situation where we no longer earn points because we're paying them more money than we ever have before somehow.
Sure.
So it's a wonderful model. Again, no surprises anywhere.
Okay, but here's the flip to it, and this is the argument that I have for my subscription is
it's good.
Two movies, and I've already made. I paid it off. If I do 3 movies, like I'm ahead of the game.
No, I'm going to get my money's worth.
Yeah,
and I'm going to see a lot of movies in the theater before. It could honestly change the show. I know the Alamo Drafthouse is a bit farther away for you, so you're probably
It's actually not that bad now. They built another one that's really close to us.
Oh, is that open now?
Yeah.
That wasn't open when I was there, was it?
No.
Ah.
It opened I think maybe 2 months after you left or something.
Dang. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, this could change the show. Like if we could do newer movies sometimes.
We could
more often
on a regular basis.
A regular basis. So it'll probably be good. It's one of those things where you're giving money to people you don't enjoy 99% of the time.
No, it's hard, and yeah, this is one of those things where it's like, okay, this is actually one of the reasons that we're canceling some of our streaming stuff. Like, okay, why? I'm paying for this. I can go to movie theater and get out of the house.
I gotcha. Yeah.
So
I don't know if we'll get that deep into this, but sure. I mean, Netflix, I don't even go, I'm not even watching movies on there hardly ever anymore. It's not what we go to Netflix anymore.
It's pretty rare. Yeah.
Yeah. It's lots of fun developments this week in movie world. Those are the only, I guess I should double check. Yep. Those are the only other movies I have.
All right. Well, I'm going to plead with you for a follow-up for next week, just a secondary movie. Don't think we need a whole show on it, but I've been wanting to watch it, and so this is a whole reasoning for me to watch it, is to get you to talk about it.
Yeah, like I said, my free small popcorn expires in 7 days, Matt.
Yeah, you got to
get. I have to see the movie before 7 days.
But I also am going to implore you and any viewers here to check out the Between Two Ferns movie.
Oh, did you finally watch that?
I have not. I want to watch it, and this is my reasoning for it.
I want to watch that probably worse than any other movie out right now, and have not.
Yeah, so I'm going to make sure that I watch that for this week, and then likely Joker and...
Very likely.
Bernie Sanders. Wait, no, Feel the Burn. No, Between Two Burns. Between Two Ferns, the movie.
Fern Gully.
Burn Gully. That'd be pretty funny, putting Bernie's face on a whole bunch of things like that.
You had me at Bernie's face. Book Club for Movies!
Yay! Bye.